Okay. Hi Cam, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
I'm
too.
your dietitian. I'm Erin.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, yeah. How's your day been going? How's your week?
It's been going good so far, just been, been a busy one with classwork and work. Got a cat, that was cool.
Yeah.
She's great, she's horrible, but, in a good way. Yeah,
So fun.
any type of cup on a surface, she just kind of knocks over, especially if there's liquid in it,
Yeah.
which is not great for me, but she's a kitten, so she's adorable, so whole thing, but that's been great.
Just a bundle of energy.
Yeah, a little too much, but I've been told they maybe calm down.
A little.
We'll find out.
It'll
You
take
know
some
what?
time.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Okay, well, if you're ready, I'd like to get started.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have about 30 minutes in our session, so let's just get at it. I wanted to see what brought you in today. I have your chart to go over, but I wanted to talk to you first, and then we can go over that.
Yeah, really just been having a lot of issues with my diet and weight. I say diet, it's not even really a diet. I think I should say eating patterns. I don't really understand a lot of how that works.
Yeah.
Big thing just being, I feel like I eat and it's so hard to plan around it, and I just end up feeling like I'm gaining more weight all the time, and it's just I never enjoy the process of figuring out what I'm going to eat and just default to fast food, stuff like that. So really just wanted to get some help to maybe bring things back into better, because I think I do it awful with everything as it's going. So mainly just wanted to maybe get some help there, or just go through how that works.
So some better eating patterns.
Yeah,
Yes.
just learning how to set that up. Maybe just education on how this works. Never worked with nutrition, and so I don't really understand how everything is, but just realize it's not working as it is right now.
Yeah. Do you think you have a good understanding of the macronutrients and micronutrients, or is that something that you lack knowledge in?
I've looked at a nutrition label before, and I see carbs and fat, and when I go through it, I'm reading it, and it doesn't really necessarily make sense to me. I don't have a scale at home, so I'm not weighing grams, and even then it's which ones do I need, which ones do I not, and then you have all the actual ingredients underneath, and I just kind of get lost. I don't understand what a lot of those words are. So I've heard of them, but I don't necessarily understand them.
So we could definitely look at learning how to build a plate that balances those macronutrients while also incorporating micronutrients, and learn how to read some food labels if that's something that you're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you typically count your calories, or?
Very loosely, not with anything. I'll look at the label and be like, oh, this is how much it is, and then I'll just eat it, and then maybe mental note it.
Okay.
But especially when I'm cooking dinner, not really.
Yeah.
I don't know how to compile everything. Don't really keep too much track of it.
So we wouldn't have a rough estimate of how much protein or how many calories you're getting in a day?
No, not really.
Okay.
Nothing that I would really say. I think the biggest thing is usually when I eat, it's around usually I'll skip breakfast, and then I'll have a smaller lunch, and then usually my dinners will be the majority of where I eat.
Okay.
And then they'll just be really bulky, and because I'm really hungry by the day because I haven't eaten, and then I just feel really full and crappy after, and I go to bed and I feel like it makes me feel worse in the morning.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily have a good idea of how much. I just kind of know it's portions heaviest at PM.
Well, we could also work on spreading out some of those meals, or balancing it out, and see how that looks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have any long-term goals that you're trying to work towards?
Just kind of getting in shape, I think would be a good word to use. I want to look good and feel good mentally. I think I want to feel good also around things for long-term health as well. But definitely want to kind of slim down my image.
Okay.
Because I feel
Look
like
good,
that's
feel good.
issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's something that you're working towards, or you want to work towards,
Mm-hmm.
and to achieve.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to briefly go over our counseling. So we're going to go over your goals, evaluate your regular eating patterns, and then make some goals for you at the end to or make some plan for you to achieve those
Gotcha.
goals.
Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna do in the next 25 minutes. Are you focused on your weight at all, or is that not a factor?
Weight
counseling?
is, I think weight is definitely a big one. I feel like when I have a scale at home and I watch that the most, you know, and like sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. So I'm like, you know, I feel like when it goes down, I feel better than when it goes up.
Yeah.
So weight is definitely something I keep track of a lot.
Okay. So I'll keep that in mind while we're making our goals, see if any of that's attainable. So I wanted to explore your completed assessment form.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull that up real quick. Okay. So the reason that you wrote for seeking nutrition coaching is to aid in your current unhealthy diet.
Mm-hmm.
Would you add anything to that?
No, just pretty much kind of what we said, like in the talk before here. Just still find that feel like the biggest thing I need help with is just kind of educating on how things work.
Yeah.
And not just, what do I eat? Boom. You know what I mean? Like kind of looking for an understanding of how these things work is
more education instead of just like
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And have you seen any dietitian before? Anyone to counsel you in nutrition?
I haven't seen anybody before. I've gone to like the center at one of my last colleges during a nutrition convention. They were just talking about a lot of stuff, but I still felt like I was like didn't really understand a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I haven't really seen anybody else before.
No one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay, I see here that you have high blood pressure and some anxiety. That's something that we can keep in mind while building out a plan for you or educating you on other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you listed your desired weight, so that's also something that we can focus on
Mm-hmm.
if that would be a goal for you.
Yeah.
That we could achieve with diet and intervention. So we can come back to that.
Okay.
Yeah. You also wrote that you tried the keto diet, but you didn't keep up with it.
Yeah, dieting was really difficult overall, like I said, like with tracking, and then like everyone was saying, oh, the keto diet is so helpful and you can lose weight and eat like all these like, super fatty things. So I was like, that sounds really good. So like I tried doing it and I just felt really gross after.
Really gross, okay.
I felt like I started to have like heartburn after a lot of my meals, so I didn't know what that was about. So stopped, and then just same issue with like a lot of things, just didn't want to keep up with the upkeep of it. Especially with a busy schedule, so I found I started to fall apart a little bit there.
I believe the best diet is the diet that you can adhere to, so we can focus on building out a plan that
Absolutely.
you're comfortable with following, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the keto diet just because that's trendy.
Gotcha.
So look at that. And you also wrote that you're very active. You ride the bike, you go to the gym, you hike. So we can focus on getting in calories and meals that will sustain you for those activities.
Yeah, I do feel like a lot of times when I'm working out, it might be a way for me to cope like with a lot of bad eating in the afternoon. Especially, I think it might be hard to plan around too, and would be a great thing to maybe find some foods and get some foods that aren't as heavy. Because I'll work out in the morning and then the midday, and those are 2 times I'm not eating. On top of the fact too that I don't want to be full when I work out. I really don't enjoy how that feels. So that's why I, maybe don't want to look at that and mainly want to look at it and how it compares to other things with the diet.
Right.
And how that might be affecting my daily routine has been something I've thought about before.
You could also look to incorporate like smaller meals or smaller snacks that could help you in those activities, but don't make you feel full and don't make you sluggish or whatever.
Yeah.
So we can look at that. Then you also wrote that you eat out 5 out of the 7 days a week. Is that primarily because you don't have time to cook, or because you're not educated in cooking, or?
I find a lot like in the morning I'm super motivated, and like midday, start to feel a crash around like 3 p.m. and then especially because I'll be like out all day and then I get home and I'm like, oh, I don't want to cook, spend like an hour cooking. Even like if I meal prep, I'm like, oh, like I don't want to eat the same thing. But mainly just when I get home, like
Right.
it's cooking that one time where I'm like it's so difficult to get all that finished, and then I have to clean it, and then I have more like classwork or just work to get done. So it just feels very like, I don't know, it's easier to just do that, even if it's not. But then, it makes me eat a lot, and then afterward I'm like not happy about it. So it's definitely not a great cycle.
Do you think there would be something that could help you to continue cooking at home, or would like ordering one of those meal prep services so the food's already prepped? Like, would something like that motivate you to cook more?
It's definitely been something I've like thought about before, but I think it'll come back to like nutrition understanding, because it's like I don't know which ones to pick,
Right.
And how it goes. That's kind of one of the things I'd like more help in, is just like figuring out meals that would be easy to cook around meeting, like you mentioned, like macros and micros, like finding a way to know what I'm eating is actually good, and not just like, oh, I think it's good, you know what I mean? I think that's a lot where like the education comes into play.
Yeah. Do you think you have time to meal prep like one of the days during the week to make the rest of the week look easier?
Yeah, I've tried that a few times and it works okay. I think it mainly just comes down to like variety, because I'll meal prep like one thing and then it'll last me a lot of the days, but then I'll find, by day 5 or 6, I'm getting kind of bored of ground turkey and broccoli. So just finding a better variety, or maybe because then I'll spend like one day all day cooking. So maybe finding meals that maybe take more time and less time, or ways to be more like automated, if that makes sense. Like slow cooking things, like crock pot soups. I don't know, something that's like, maybe if there's stuff that's a little easier to set up beforehand and not have to worry so much about the cooking aspect.
And get some variety, so not like having the same meal for 7 days a week. I totally understand that. So if we could find a good like meal plan prep, where could get a few different meals for the week, something that wasn't totally difficult to follow, and incorporated all those other micros and
that's kind of something I think would be more helpful.
You just finished reading your form. So you noted that you have severe anxiety and you have a lot of self-conscious issues that impact your eating and your weight, and you feel bad after eating. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I just find that a lot of the time, I have I was diagnosed with severe anxiety disorder, and feel anxious about like how a lot of people see me. And I think a lot of that comes down to like my weight. Like when I'm like looking healthier, I definitely can tell like I'm more like happy, but especially when I have like a few more pounds on, I just feel like so self-conscious walking around, and then that anxiety kicks in and makes me feel like everybody's watching and like thinking about it. And then that is one standalone thing. And then with like how my meal plans are out now, especially with the fact that I'm eating so much at night, after I'm like really excited to eat really good food before, and then after I'm like, oh man, that was a lot of food, like this sucks, I suck. And then it's like a very like negative cycle afterward, where I find it's just like kind of get in my head a lot about that. Don't know as much of the emotions, how it goes there in terms of just why I feel that way, but I definitely find that like it really affects my relationship with food negatively, because I get very, I just don't enjoy like food in a sense, because like I'll enjoy things that taste good, but then they make me feel super negative or bloated, and then like even the thought of cooking, it's like, oh, it's just gonna take so much time, and then cleaning. So it just feels like food in my life is really off balance. And I just really don't enjoy the whole aspect of everything, and I find that like breakfast and lunch, I do just not eat because it's like more of a hassle. So I definitely think I just have like, I don't know, a very bad relationship with food overall, and it just isn't that healthy.
So that's something that I would like to see improve, because my number one goal for you is for you to have a healthy relationship with food and feel good in your body and be able to do the activities that you like to do while feeling good and being nourished. So we can look at some resources to get you some help to feel better about when you consume foods and how the foods look and stuff like that. Do you think there's anything else that you wanted to add that wasn't on the form that would be beneficial in me knowing before we moved forward?
Just that, like, I think, again, being a very anxious person, it does come back to the fact that, like, my family has had, like, my parents have both had diabetes and high blood pressure, and, like, my grandfather passed away from a heart attack. Grandmother smoked a lot and had lung cancer, so, like, I don't feel like I'm necessarily set up for the best success.
Yeah.
I've heard some people mention, that, like, sometimes when your parents have something, you might be more at risk. I don't really know how that works or if that's true, but, it definitely is one thing that kind of worries me sometimes, is the thought of, what they had versus, like, the risks I have.
Right.
So maybe just, like, thought I'd bring that up as well, of, like, my own concerns. I think that adds to the pressures of just eating in general as well.
You could definitely be predisposed to some of those issues that's in your family history, but I do think eating a balanced diet and incorporating a healthy lifestyle would mitigate all those risks. So that'd be something to definitely work towards in order to reduce your anxiety with maybe adopting those diseases later in life. So we can definitely look at that too.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I wanted to just get an idea of what you eat on a regular basis. So can you tell me everything that you consumed yesterday?
Okay. Yesterday I woke up and had a cup of coffee.
Okay.
And then went to class, and then when I got home I had some beef jerky and a granola bar, and then I went to work out, and then after my workout I always have like a protein shake after, and then did some work at home for a while, and then I ordered some food. I got like 2 burgers, some fries, milkshake, the general American diet. And then that was the last I ate, and I ate that around 9 p.m. probably. So that was everything I ate yesterday.
So when you have your coffee, what time is that?
Usually around like 6:30 to 7.
Okay. Do you have cream with your coffee?
I say coffee, it's just caffeine. I just have like yerba mate.
Okay.
So I don't do the cream or anything.
Okay.
I just have like a cup of green tea or black tea. The
One of those,
caffeinated tea.
caffeinated tea. Yep, gotcha.
Is what I'll go for.
Yeah, those are always good. Yep. And for your snack, how much later in the day is that?
Usually 6 hours later.
Okay.
Around
like
noon.
midday, yeah.
Around that, yeah.
And are you exercising in between those?
Yeah, I'll usually go on my bike ride in between.
Okay. So yerba, activity, snack. Do you do another activity?
Yeah, the gym after.
Okay.
After that one.
And then after that is when you have your shake?
Yeah.
So what do you put in your shake?
My shake is, I do 16 ounces of vanilla unsweetened almond milk. Because I do look at the calories for the shake, because I want to make sure I'm getting, I've been told like a certain number of protein in like grams is good, and then same thing with carbs.
Okay.
So like I said, 16 ounces of almond milk, because I'm allergic to dairy. And then I do a full banana that I freeze, because they make it a little better consistency. And then I do a cup of spinach, a cup of blueberries, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and then 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, because I've heard it's a good source of protein and fiber, if I can think of it. I think fiber is the word. Yeah, and that's one thing I try to put in.
Good.
And usually that'll be it.
Okay.
Sometimes ice if it needs to be more full, but that's usually what it looks like.
And what time of the day is that?
If I go to the gym around 1, I'm probably having the shake around 2.
Okay. And then after the shake, do you do anything before dinner?
Usually just sitting at my desk.
Okay.
Pretty much the rest of the day is like sitting at my desk.
Okay.
I'm either doing homework or that's about it.
Okay.
Doing homework, working on work, working on emails. That's it from there.
Do you consume any other beverages besides the yerba?
Lots of sparkling water.
Okay.
And regular water I try to drink a lot of, but sometimes you just forget.
Water is a good substitute. That's okay. Okay. Okay, so that gave me a good idea of what you're eating.
Yeah, perfect.
So it's good. So want to go over and make a goal with you,
Mhm.
so we can work towards that, see what you need, and be successful. So I just want to get a little more information before we set that goal.
Yeah.
So do you have any support at home, like anyone that can help you cook, anyone that can help you grocery shop?
It's just me and the cat,
It's just you
unfortunately.
and the cat.
Oh, fortunately and
Unfortunately,
unfortunately.
yeah. And unfortunately, the cat eats tuna, so.
That's true, yeah, the cat does have her own food, and we're not gonna share that, so.
Yeah, no. That's okay. We can focus on some resources for you to get delivery groceries if that would make it easier, or some meal prep services too that we talked about. Okay. Would you say? Well, let's set a goal first. Okay. So what is the number one thing that you want to work towards? Just having a healthier relationship with food?
I think, yeah, getting advice on like the relationship versus like what I'm actually eating.
Okay.
I don't really know where a good place to start
Yeah.
would be. I think mainly, yeah, I want to just know I think the biggest thing is I want to know what I'm eating is good for
Right.
me. You know, it's like, I would just hate if I think I'm going to eat something healthy and then it's like, oh, it has, you know, people say there's different type of fats. If it has bad fat in it, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, I didn't even know, it makes it really difficult to understand, like, you know, am I eating something tasty because it's actually tastes good and,
Right.
and it's still healthy, or am I eating something that tastes good because it's unhealthy and has all the bad stuff?
I think your diet is going to be balanced though. Like you can definitely consume foods that have unhealthy fats, but your overall diet can still be relatively healthy. So I don't
Gotcha.
think it should be a black or white. I
Okay.
think it should be a
More
let's
incorporated.
focus on like what we can consume that's good,
Mhm.
and then if you have a cheeseburger, like that's totally fine. Like
Mhm.
you're still eating all these other great foods. So
try not to be like so like all or nothing
Yeah.
about things. Gotcha.
let's try to see what we can add to your diet to enhance it
Got it.
first. And then hopefully that will make you feel better about what you're consuming, what you're putting in your body, reduce your anxiety levels about, you know, health conditions in the future and stuff like that. So after this, I'll provide you with some really good resources that have like some like balanced diets, some good fruits and vegetables to consume, some healthy proteins and some healthy fats and stuff like that, so you could incorporate those and start building meals. But I wanted to see like what would be a good meal that we could incorporate maybe for lunch that would maybe make you feel better internally and help you also perform well in your activities. So I think we could incorporate a lean protein for lunch, a healthy fat, and then maybe a vegetable.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I eat a lot of turkey, so
Okay.
I can have that be it.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, we also don't want you to get bored, so
Well,
we
for
want to
sure.
we want to switch it up
Yeah.
a little, right?
Yeah, I like turkey. Chicken's good. Fish is good. I just don't buy it too much,
Okay.
just because I just never know what to cook with it.
Your cat would eat it.
I know, yeah, exactly. So those are definitely good ideas. For vegetables, is there any that you recommend that are easier to cook or just a little faster?
There's like any vegetable, like broccoli or Brussels sprouts or carrots. Like you could easily just throw those in the oven and roast
Okay.
them if
Gotcha.
that's quick enough for you.
Yeah, and then just don't like cover them in oil and
I mean, you
like
could do
salt
a
and
little
stuff.
spray of oil.
Got it.
Like
Okay.
I wouldn't be concerned about consuming too much fat. Like olive oil is good for you, so we're not trying to demonize food.
Gotcha.
It's good.
Just like in moderation.
Yeah, in
Gotcha.
moderation. If that becomes too time consuming and you can't prep that, you could always buy those pre-made like salad packs.
Okay.
I think those are great. Throw it in a bowl, then have your turkey or chicken that's cooked or whatever.
Gotcha.
Throw it on top. Throw some avocado in there.
Okay.
Throw some hemp seeds or flax seeds or whatever. Like bulk it up a little, so it's not just the mixed greens that you're eating. If the roasted vegetables don't work for you or work for your schedule, but,
Yeah, those are definitely things I can add. I can give that a shot.
okay.
Because that'd be pretty easy just to throw them in the oven
Yeah.
and then like put them in a container for any
Yeah.
extras.
So I definitely want you to start incorporating a good sized lunch so you're not so hungry later in the day.
Gotcha. Do you think that like if I break them up a little bit more, maybe I won't want to have such a big dinner?
I think if you spread it out, you wouldn't feel as famished at the
Okay.
end of the day and feel like I need 4 cheeseburgers and I
Mhm.
need, you know, an entire roasted chicken and
Maybe like not be as this hungry at that
and
time.
not feel
Okay,
as full when you're done.
that's a good point. Yeah.
You don't want your sleep to be interrupted by that
Mhm.
and stuff. So let's work on incorporating at least one additional meal a day
Okay.
and
Just start from there.
start from there and see if
Gotcha.
we can incorporate breakfast in the future. So we'll get you at least 3 meals a day, but let's start with the one.
Okay.
So I just wanted to check in and see like how your readiness for change is. Like, are you feeling like I'm ready to get at this, I'm ready to achieve this goal, I'm ready to make change? Or are you kind of in between?
I think right now I'm definitely like ready to make change. You know, consistency's hard for
Yeah.
anything. It's hard to stick with one thing at a time. So I think that'll be the main struggle.
Right.
But I do feel like I'm ready for change as long as I like have the information I need.
Okay.
I'm definitely motivated.
Yeah.
You know, because I want to kind of have a better norm. It's just, you know, can be scary to try to make those changes again because you want to see, if you put in a lot of effort, you want to see that effort come out, and it may not. So
So if you're provided with resources that can help you make that change, you think you'd be set to good.
I think so.
And you're ready to take action with those resources. Okay. So if you were to fail once or twice a week and not be able to consume lunch or make one of those meals, do you think that would deter you from achieving your goal?
It might. That one we'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
I know, like in the history, I mean, like what we mentioned with the keto diet, sometimes I get like bored of things
Yeah.
and I start to lose like motivation. But I do have hope if we're starting out small,
Okay.
then maybe, you know, it'll be easier to do. I think that was a great suggestion where maybe just start with lunch
Yeah.
because I don't know, you know.
What that whole thing.
I was kind of scared coming in here first because I
Yeah.
didn't know like if we're gonna change like everything, you know, but trying not to demonize food like you said, and just adding one meal to start and kind of incorporating things, you know,
Yeah.
trying to find some good moderation. It sounds a lot more doable than kind of what I was thinking beforehand.
Right. Do you think there's a tool that you could use to keep you motivated or make sure that you're achieving those goals? What am I looking for?
Or just like keeping to it.
Yeah.
I think mainly it'll be, you know, if I start to see results of, you know, just feeling better having a balanced meal and
Yeah.
not feeling so like depressed after my dinner every
Right.
time. I think that would kind of be like perfect to
Okay.
see for me. It's just
Okay.
like that would be so rewarding, is to have like at least a start to being like, oh, like I actually don't feel like crappy before I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
Or like don't feel so crappy about trying to figure out food.
Yeah.
If I have like maybe some more planning ahead, or more like growth, I guess you could call it, with like meals being
Yeah.
more spread out.
So you think once you start seeing and feeling change that the motivation will continue after
I
that?
think so, yeah.
That's great, yeah. Okay. So I want our goal to be to consume lunch, that balanced lunch that we talked about
Mhm.
for 5 out of the 7 days of the week. So
Okay.
every weekday, if you could do that.
Mhm.
Until the next time we see each other, and we can reassess how well you did with that goal, if we need to adjust it, like scale it back, or we can add breakfast after that. I will also forward you those sources for like balanced meal planning, good vegetable sources, fruit sources, protein,
Okay,
stuff
awesome.
like that, all of that. Is there any questions with the goal?
So just making sure, you know, is there a time frame you think would be good to meet up again?
I think I would like to see you back in 2 weeks. So
2 weeks?
for the next
Okay.
2 weeks, five out of those 7 days in the
Gotcha.
week. So
And then just make sure it's gonna be a good balance between, you know, making sure lunch gets filled, trying not to be so hard on like
Yeah.
You know, oh, this food's bad, so, like, you know, kind of maybe look into more reasons why this could be good versus maybe more of a positive mentality. Kind of sounds like what we're going for with the goal. Well, that's pretty much it I have for questions. It's just those two things.
Okay. Well, then let's work on that goal, and I will look forward to seeing you back here in 2 weeks.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you for meeting me, Cam.
Absolutely.
Was that 30 minutes?
It was.